We've got some
Hey,
fresh new
I'm
young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I
Luis.
know you haven't
And you're
heard
listening to the
before.
Content is Profit podcast. Epic guest alert! I wanted to say thank you to Adam from Podcasting Business School for introducing us to today's guest, whose story and message is going to inspire you and help you take the next right step towards becoming that person that you want to become.
That is right, baby. Today's guest is an incredible entrepreneur that has started and scaled multiple businesses and now is giving back to the community with a personal goal of impacting, and listen to this, 1 billion lives,
Baby.
living his truth and allowing others to live theirs as well.
Today's guest is a passionate performance coach, business strategist, top sales professional, and philanthropic leader who believes
Big
in
word.
helping. Yeah, big word, man. This Spanglish not very good looking. Who believes in helping growth-minded individuals become their most authentic selves. I hope you are ready for this trip.
Oh, yeah, baby. Please welcome the man of the hour, the brogert, and what they call right there, the trust stash, Mr. Brian Bogert.
Oh man,
What a
I'm so excited to be here. You guys, I have to say, like, you might be some of the best hype men in the business as well, because you made me sound way cooler than I actually am. And Adam Shively is the man, and he has coined the nickname Brogert and the Trust Stash. So another little bit of credit to him. But I love everything about that intro, everything about how you guys tee this up, and I sure hope that people are going to your site to follow and hang out with you, because I get to hang out with you right now, and I'm excited about this. So let's go.
Dude,
Thank you, man. Yeah.
It means a lot. And yes, definitely shout out to Adam. He was like, dude, you need to ask him about the trust stash, right? And he said, we call him Brogan. I was like, this guy sounds awesome. He is right in the same lane with us. So, why not include a little bit of that in the intro as well?
It was perfect. I love it. I mean, honestly, the freestyle on that, it's like, it warmed my heart. You guys gave me chills more than once in that intro. I'm ready to roll, guys. Let's go.
You're good. All right, Brian. So for those that are not familiar with you, me included, right? You had a call with FONZI not so long ago, and he's literally have not stopped talking about you. And Adam's like, when is he coming, right? And we're like, I want to be part of the audience today, but I need to ask you. I know a little bit of your backstory, but for those listening, right, that are not familiar with you and what you do, like, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know there was an episode in there when you were a kid that kind of shaped your entire life. So if you don't mind, let's go in there. Let's dig in and let's have fun now.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll definitely start there. Before I ever start into my story, I always have to start right with this whole idea of who I am. I'm a husband and father first.
Yes.
Son probably behind that. And I have to say that, like, no matter what, I love that you kind of highlighted the big goal that we have to impact 1 billion lives. But I always have to start with husband and father first, because I'll tell you that if the 3 people that I care most in my nuclear family at home are not healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, that impact is never going to happen, because my focus is on those 3. So I have to start there, because everything else we talk about, cool, but like that is my true life. That's my true joy. That's my true freedom and fulfillment. So I had to say that.
Yes.
For the story, though, let's. I'm going to actually bring you guys in. I'm going to say for you guys, if you could just indulge me for 1 second, just close your eyes for 1 second. And I'm going to tell a story. I'll tell you when to reopen them. I want you to imagine going to a store, having a successful shopping trip, breezing through the checkout line, walking out the door. You got a little pep in your step. You're going on with your day. You look up in the sky. You feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. You feel the breeze blow through your hair. And as you go to fumble in your pocket for your keys to unlock your door, you turn your head and you see a truck barreling 40 miles an hour right at you with no time to react. Go ahead and open your eyes. That's where this portion of my story begins. My mom, my brother, and I went to our local Walmart to get a 1-inch paintbrush. And as we were headed back to our car, anybody who's known me for more than 2.5 seconds knows that I've got an energy and vigor and excitement for life. It wasn't a surprise to my brother or my mom that I was a few feet ahead of them, because I wanted to get home and put that paintbrush to use. And as I'm standing there, this was back in the day before key fobs, so I had to wait for my mom to literally physically catch up, stick the key in the door so we'd go on with our way. And as she was doing that, a truck pulls up in front of the store. Driver and middle passenger get out, and the passenger all the way to the right felt the truck moving backwards. So he did what any one of us would do, scooted over to put his foot on the brake, but he instead hit the gas. Combination of shock and force threw him up on the steering wheel, up on the dashboard. Before you know it, he's catapulting 40 miles an hour across the parking lot right at us with no time to react. Now, we were in an end spot, so he hit the tree, went up and over the median in the tree, hit our car, knocked me over, and ran over me diagonally, tearing my spleen, leaving a tire track scar on my stomach, and severing my left arm completely from my body. So there I was, 115-degree day in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm laying on the ground. Mom and brother watched the whole thing happen. They look down, they see me laying there. and they look up and they see my arm laying 10 feet away. Fortunately for me, my guardian angel also saw the whole thing happen. There was a nurse that walked out of the store right when this took place. And she saw the literal life and limb scenario in front of her. And I'm forever indebted to this woman for choosing to go into action versus turning to go on with her day. You see, she came over and she immediately stopped the bleeding on the main wound and saved my life. And she instructed some innocent bystanders to run inside, grab a cooler, fill it with ice, and get my detached limb on ice within minutes to give me a fighting chance of having a reattached arm. Yeah. So if it wasn't for this woman, I either wouldn't be here with you guys today, or I'd be here with you today with a cleaned up stump. That's just the reality. And so I'm sure that a lot of listeners and people who are watching live today were not expecting it to go there today, right? I realize I have a very, very unique story. But what I also want to do is just pause for a second and let everybody know that we all have unique stories. What's important is that we pause and become aware of the lessons we can extract from our stories and then become intentional with how do we apply them in our lives. And we all have the ability to do that. And we also all have the ability to tap into the collective wisdom of other people's wisdom and stories to shorten our own curve to learning. So I'm going to share with you 2 primary lessons real quick, and then we're just going to freestyle the rest of the show. Is that cool, guys?
Absolutely.
All right. So the 2 primary lessons that have really shaped my life, and you got to imagine there's a lot more than this, but these are the 2 that I really sit on often. I learned early in life not to get stuck by what has happened to me, but instead get moved by what I can do with it. The second I didn't learn until far later. You see, at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, although I was having unceasing medical treatments, although I was the one having all these surgeries and therapy, I was also being guided through the process. So I was a little bit in a fog. My parents were not. My parents were intimately aware of the unceasing medical treatments, years of physical therapy. And the idea of seeing their son grow up without the use of his left arm was a source of great potential suffering. So they willed themselves day in and day out to do what was necessary, to do what was tough, to embrace the pains required to ultimately strengthen and heal me. So whether intentional or not, what they did was they ingrained in me a philosophy and a way of living, which was to embrace pain, to avoid suffering. And I believe that when this is done correctly, that's also where we gain freedom. So it's these concepts that we've used to not only overcome this unique injury, but how my business partners and I scaled our last business to over 15 million with the span of a decade. And now how we're flipping that on its head through all of our entities and as a human behavior and performance coach to help individuals and organizations, just like you, just like the people listening, become more aware, more intentional, and who they already are, their most authentic selves. You see, I believe this is when the door starts to crack to perspective, motivation, and direction. And when we have a fighting chance to allow joy, freedom, and fulfillment to enter into our lives holistically, which is why we're on a mission to impact 1 billion lives. Because if we can reduce the level of suffering on this planet, allow individuals to not only be confident, but convicted in who they are, knowing that vulnerability and authenticity, which is the glue that binds human connection, will be a much more part of the forefront, then not only will we be able to stand on our own 2 feet, knowing that the world won't just accept us for who we are, but will embrace us for exactly who we are. I believe that's true freedom. I believe that's true joy. I believe that's true fulfillment. And that's why I'm committed the way I am, because it'll leave the world a better place for my kids and my grandkids.
Ooh, wow. Absolutely amazing. Standing ovation, by the way, by the crowd right now. That is a beautiful message, Brian. And this is what I loved about, the first conversation that we had behind the scenes, you and I. And I think that this is why I was also so hyped up about today's show and sharing with my brother, is that passion that you have, man. Like you said, everybody has their own story, and their own stories is special in their own way. And that is something that I really love, right? It's not like, oh, my story is more special than anybody than other people, right? Just because maybe I suffer in different ways. So maybe my story is more important. No, everybody has super important stories and we can use those. But I love the fact, man, that you're so passionate about your goals, right? Your vision and making it happen. Literally, I've listened to a few of other podcast episodes that you've been a guest, and the energy is always there. The passion about it is always there. The message is always there. So, when we talk about this journey, right, of finding your authentic self, you're going to find that message, right? You're going to find that passion. And yes, there's going to be difficult days here and there. That is, that's just life.
That's life. Yeah.
But I feel like when we have that clarity, it's just easier to move forward, right? And I have a few questions. Oh, sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, bro, I 100% agree. I mean, literally at the core of everything I talk about is just that, right? I think when we can truly align with who we are, build our life in intentional alignment so it can become self-regulating, we know what fits and what doesn't, right? We truly get to move faster with less effort.
Yeah.
And that's like the most powerful thing, is like there's all this resistance for people to actually lean in and do the work that's necessary, because it's the hardest fucking work we're ever going to do. And pardon my language, I know we're live, but like it is not easy. right?
Yeah.
And the reality of it is it's the hardest journey, but it's also the most worthwhile one because you truly get to see the impact on the other side. So I'm all for questions. Let's go. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to hit that point hard because that is why I have the passion. That's why I have the conviction, because I know what it's like to be chasing stuff for the wrong reasons and be completely lost and miserable. And I know what it's like on the other side. No one deserves to feel this way like I used to, and everyone deserves to feel like I feel right now. So the passion is real. The energy is real because I just want to free the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Brian, do not apologize, my friend. You can interrupt whenever you want. Yeah, this is a free for all conversation here that we're having.
He does it to me all the time, so we're good.
Yeah, in 206
he does that for good reasons. He told me that when we talked last time. He's like, I'm going to talk more than him. Just know that going in.
Oh, it always happens. I mean, at least he has the smart questions. You know, I put in the dad joke sprinkle. Hopefully, it's not coming.
Dad jokes are what it's all about, by the way.
That's what's all about. You know, I mean, you guys can relate in there. Eventually, it will be my time to get the dad jokes when I get some kids. I
gotta give one letter sidebar because I've got this great thing. My wife every year for Father's Day has gotten me a Father's Day shirt, right? Yeah. And this last one I've got, it's literally a Venn diagram, and it says like dad jokes on one side, like what's actually funny here, and then in the middle of the Venn diagram is where the magic happens. And I just like die laughing every single time because I'm like, that's pretty much me. Like I live in where the magic happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right there. Yeah,
at least that's what I tell myself. Everybody else thinks it's probably just dad joke.
Yeah,
perfect.
Hey, she has to sell those shirts. Just throwing out there. It could be a whole new business for you guys, right?
Yeah,
it seems like you know, the dad T-shirt sales. I think I don't know. definitely a better name than that. But Brian, let's go backtrack a little bit. I am extremely curious about this point number 2 that you made about embracing pain to avoid suffering. Right? If I'm being honest, I think I kind of like grasp the concept, but I really want to dig a little bit deeper because I believe there's a key here for people to move forward, right? And I put it this way because we have experienced a lot of pain growing a business. We are currently experiencing pain still growing the business, right? And I feel like that pain also trickles to other sides of your life, right? It goes to your personal life, right? Your community, everywhere, right? And it starts causing maybe stress, anxiety, all these negative things that might not allow us to perform at the level that we want, right? So yeah, I'm extremely curious. Can we dig a little bit deeper into that?
I'll break this down. And I just want to give one caveat. Like everything I talk about, right, is really a holistic way of viewing the world. So it's going to have business relevance. It'll have relational relevance. It'll have health relevance. So the way that I communicate is and the way that I teach, if you will, although I don't necessarily call it teaching, it's just communicating my truth, is typically going to be done through a universal truth, something rooted in the human experience. So just understand that so that everybody that's listening can understand this. This will help your business. This will help your life if you actually pay attention. This idea of pain and suffering, we need to really understand what definitions, and we need to understand what the narrative of the world is first, right? So we absolutely know that the world narrative is to reduce, eliminate, or avoid pain at all costs. That's literally what the world preaches. It's like reduce, eliminate, or avoid pain. That's why we see all these things for numbing. That's why we see all these things for pain management. That's why we see all these things for just avoidant tactics in our world. That's just the fact. And oh, by the way, this is a natural evolutionary response, right? Because it was really around the fight or flight for survival. 100 years ago, you cut your leg, you could die. Let's just call it what it is. But that's not where we are today. So it causes us to update our definitions of pain and suffering. So let's look at pain. Pain is defined as short-term, intermittent to direct cause from something, and then alleviated once that direct cause is removed. And then we as human beings screw it up like we do with just about everything, and we put adjectives and words in front of it to change the definition, like acute and chronic. Acute maintains the definition, but chronic inherently changes it because it implies that it is no longer short-term and it persists after the direct cause is removed.
Yeah.
Okay, whereas suffering is a whole different thing. So let's stop calling it chronic pain. Let's call it suffering, because that's what it actually is. Now, suffering we don't want to admit exists, particularly when it's the direct result of our choices. And it often creeps up on us until its effects are sometimes irreversible, and often until we even recognize it's there. It creeps up on us. Whereas pain gets lots of attention, right? It's real time, it's in front of us. And pain, what's difficult about it is that it really cannot be measured independent of the person experiencing it.
Yeah, true.
Other than one thing. We all experience pain. Okay? So let's understand what this concept is. And what we have to recognize is the unavoidable precursor to change is acceptance. So until we accept the current state of things, we cannot alter them. Like that is something that applies to this whole concept from the get-go. We can embrace the pain of hitting the gym for 30 minutes a day to avoid the suffering of aches and pains of a sedentary lifestyle. We can embrace the pain of a difficult conversation with a loved one or spouse to avoid the suffering of either being stuck in a loveless marriage that's going to end in divorce or being stuck in a marriage when you really want divorce. We can embrace the pain of the fit our kids are sure to throw by having them put down their mobile devices at the dinner table to avoid the suffering of years of lost meaningful connection and conversation we'll never get back. As business owners, we can embrace the pain of firing our top salesperson, contributing the most to top line growth, to avoid the suffering of stagnant growth and losing all our other top talent because they were the greatest cancer in our culture, right? We can embrace the pain of recognizing that we actually have trauma and things that we need to unpack and feel in order to heal, to avoid the suffering of circling the drain constantly because our emotional triggers won't allow us to escape as who we are. Right? The reality of it is this applies to everything in our lives. And so we have to understand the basic concept of what do we do. And I'm not a big 7-step kind of guy. Like I'm not one of those like 7-step systems to success. I think we have way too many strategy and tactics out there, and it often just confuses people. And that's not what keeps people stuck, right? We know that it's often a combination of emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and environmental conditioning. And so when we know that, we have to really make sure that we can understand how do we guide people through a philosophy to apply these things holistically in their lives. And so anything we talk about, it's not a 7-step system. You do these 7 things and you're good. It's like, no, this is a philosophy to guide yourself through. So we do have 3 steps that we guide people through with this. We can go there if you want. But really understanding the concept, you want to do it? Okay.
Let's do it.
So I'll hit it really fast and really hard so that we understand it.
Before we dive in there, Brian, real quick. I mean, I love this. I want to see if I can simplify this in a way, right? I see what you're talking about the embracing the pain, the difficult moments, right? I feel like you're talking about owning those moments, right? Taking responsibility in those difficult moments that, like you said, they're going to save us from that future suffering, right?
Yep.
I see it as an investment in today. What is the difficult thing that I need to do today, right? So my long-time return is not negative, right? Which would be that suffering. I
believe we almost choose our pain or our suffering will choose us.
Oh, that's good.
So it's about the active choice right now, regularly and consistently, to do the things that are necessary, because the pain, I'm not talking about putting ourselves into unnecessary amounts of pain for pain's sake. It's about identifying the proper pains between where we are today, where we want to be, and viewing them as a part of our path to success.
I love it. So, I mean, to do this, I feel like you need to consistently be kind of like evaluating yourself too, right? It's like, where am I right now, right? Where do I want to go? Am I, accepting the pain that I need to accept?
I mean, you should just outline our 3 steps for us, brother. You're already doing it right now. It's perfect.
So before we go there, I want to relate it to a couple of stories that we had, right? Like, as you were explaining this, I'm going back in our life and I'm like, wow, these are the moments where we chose our pain to whatever outcome, right? When I was 15, I ended up going to Italy, right, to play soccer, right? The pain there is like, I had no idea about Italian. My family was not there with me. I was going to be there for a full year. I did not know anybody, right? And that was like the pain that I chose, right? But the dream was so big, right? It's like, I want to pursue my career here in Europe for soccer versus in Venezuela, that soccer is not a thing, right? Then later on, same thing happened with Spain. Then later on, when we came to the US, right, we left our home country, same thing, like our families in there, right? We didn't know anybody. We had to come and we had to fight for our spots, fight for scholarships. Like, and then, because in my mind, how I saw it was, okay, the benefit of doing this right now, of going through this specific events that might suck, right? Because we're brand new to this country. We do not know the language. Like, we have to work extra hard, right? It's going to be so much worth it. But I saw it as the positive, not as avoiding the potential suffering of going back to Venezuela and then having to grow and work in a communist and socialist regime, for example, right? Like that for us, I saw more on the opportunity, right? So do you see both with like?
So this is the perfect place. Let's jump into both, because I'm literally answering both of your questions through these next 3 steps. I promise you. Okay. Because the way you're thinking about it is exactly correct. And I love that you even related it to specific examples that others can, because again, dude, 1st-generation immigrants, they've embraced a ton of pain to avoid suffering, right? You're exactly right. You embrace the pain of taking a risk at 15 to go chase a dream, to avoid the suffering of not ever knowing what could have been possible in soccer for you, right? You embrace the pain of coming to the US to avoid the suffering of not ever knowing what you might actually be able to do had you stayed on your same path in Venezuela. Let's just call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you guys hit it. But again, the first step is we got to acknowledge the suffering we wish to avoid. Now, this goes to your question right here, and this is very important. Most people, when they set out for goal setting, they only look at where they want to go, right? It's like, I want to go get this goal. And I said, oh, by the way, but most people, you two did not clearly, but most people also set goals and they protect themselves in that process, right? And so they'll set goals and it's like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, when really they need to lose 20, but they say they're going to lose 10 because they know they can hit it. It's a guarantee, right? You guys uprooting your lives to move to the States, there's no guarantee at all. That's not at all. So yours is a much bigger thing. You're right. I was chasing opportunity. But most people look at this and they're like, I'm going to set this goal. I'm going to set this vision. I'm going to set this here. Nobody really thinks about the things we want to avoid.
Yeah.
It's two sides to the same coin. So we have to understand that when we do our goal setting, we also have to understand what we're trying to avoid. For you, you wanted to avoid not having opportunity through a league that wasn't going to be as established as the European League for soccer. And you saw it as a path to say, look, I could play here, but it's probably not going to get me as great of an opportunity as if I go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. And so you were able to understand that your suffering was, I could take the same path in Venezuela, but it probably won't produce the same outcome for where I want to go. And so because you had the goal, you also understood the suffering, you had to close that gap. Let me give an example of a client here, because this is a highly relatable one, right? He's 38 years old. He, before the time he was 18, moved 26 times. Lived with his mom, his dad, his grandma, his aunt. Never lived in the same place twice. Never had the same set of friends twice. Wow. Fast forward to today. He's got a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful daughters. Literally everything he wants in his world is what's right in front of him in those 3 women.
Yeah.
Truly, everything. Connection, love, memories, legacy, everything. And so when he literally focuses on the 3 of them, he recognizes it, but he also knows that he also never had an opportunity to give or receive love. And so he can't be the man, husband, father that he knows he's capable of being and they deserve because of his emotional triggers that have kept him in the patterns for his whole life. Yeah. So now he's got to sit down and really paint this picture to understand where he wants to go. So he's got this really defined, vivid picture of his wife and him sitting on their ranch in Texas 40 years from now with the wind blowing through the brush. And the only thing breaking the silence is the laughter of his daughters and his grandkids. Now, when he takes that image and he burns it into his soul, right? That purpose becomes big enough to overtake the pains required for him to become the man, husband, and father that he's capable of being and they deserve.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, he's looked at where does he want to go? What does he want to accomplish? But he also has understood that a life without them would be suffering. Yeah. It would literally be failure for him. He could not move forward if the 3 of them were not active in his life. But what's going to prevent him from actually having them in his life is him. So he has to recognize that pattern. The second step is that we have to identify the pains we tend to avoid and learn to embrace them. I'm going to use a personal example here. Okay. I told you about my story. I have a very complex body. I don't have a lat on the left side of my back. I don't have a tricep in my left arm. My bicep is my gracilis from my leg. I have a literal curve in my spine. I've got imbalance muscularly. And for literally 30 years of my life, I've got a complete imbalance in my body. 15 to 20 years ago, the normal everyday pains of operating started to become debilitating, meaning they were affecting my quality of life. They were no longer chronic pain. They were no longer acute pain. They were suffering. And so I had to ask myself, okay, so what am I going to do, right? If I stay lean, I eat well, I keep my core strong, then it mitigates and reduces the amount of pain to a manageable place where it's no longer debilitating and I can operate in life. So what did I do? Same thing everybody does when they want to go get healthy. I went and I joined a gym. Okay. And I went consistently for 30 days and then I stopped going. Now, had I not gone the first step and understood that suffering was literally affecting my daily life, and I at this time was in my early 20s and was in a position where I hadn't had kids yet, I hadn't had grandkids yet, I wasn't married yet, but I knew at that time that I wanted all 3 and I wanted to be physically active and enabled. Suffering to me would be bedridden, not able to live the life that I want, not able to be active with my wife and kids at some point, right? And so I knew the suffering, what it was, so I couldn't stop there.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I could have also approached it from a strategy and tactic perspective. Well, that gym didn't work. Maybe I got to join Orange Theory. Maybe I go join the cycle bar. Maybe, right. I could have just swapped. Yeah. But I had to ask myself the question. Is it the pain of working out? Is it the pain of lifting weights? Is it the pain of plyometrics? Is it the pain of stretching that I'm avoiding? Or is it the anxiety I get in a crowded gym? What I told you guys earlier is definitively what I know is that what keeps most people stuck is not strategy and tactics. It's emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, environmental conditioning. So I had to embrace the pains required to create the space, time, and money to build my own home gym at home so I could have the environment that I could be successful in to avoid the suffering that I wished to avoid by embracing the pains that were required. It also included my environment. And so this also is true for anybody growing a business. How many people look at that 500-pound telephone sitting in front of them and they're like, oh God, I can't make cold calls. I can't do this, right? That phone is so heavy. But when you actually pare it down, most business owners aren't afraid of creating solutions to problems, aren't afraid of having conversations with people, aren't afraid of building relationships, right? And so often there's an emotional trigger. I worked on this with somebody. They were afraid of what it would look like if they were actually successful. Could they handle the volume of if they were really good on the phone?
Yes.
And once they actually worked through that emotional trigger, understood what was keeping them stuck, that's no longer 500 pounds. It's a featherweight. They pick it up and they dial for days and have grown their business exponentially as a result. So again, it's not about putting ourselves into unnecessary amounts of pain. It's identifying the ones between where we are today and where we want to be. The last step is super easy, and then we'll wrap on this section. It's to establish this as a habit in all areas of our life. What we know from experts in habit formation is that there is an upfront energy expense to all new habits. Now, I hate the fact that we even call it this, because that's exactly how people look at it. They look at new things in their life as a cost and expense. We need to flip that on its head and start viewing this as an investment in your future self. If we leverage the rules of compounding interest to recognize that what I do today will directly affect where I'm going to be tomorrow, then it's these pains, it's these discomforts that we start to learn to embrace. And the way they compound over time, they get easier and easier the more we do them. They're no longer painful. They then become discomfort, and discomfort is like the 5K to pains marathon, right? So we can simplify it the more we actually embrace this in our lives.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, masterclass, go back and listen, you know, from minute like 21 for everybody, and then we'll see you back in here. So right, yesterday I sat down, we have this like local coffee shop that we adore, right? And I was there in the afternoon before going to barbecue with my family, and I met these two wonderful people, right? This lady, they're in their like long 60s, right? And this lady just came out of the ICU because she had COVID, right?
Oh, wow.
She survived, right? Wonderful. And she, you know, we start talking and she's like, what do you guys do? And then we continue to talk. The guy was a veteran, you know, he's been in Asia all over the place. And she tells me this crazy story. And what pushed her through was that she had a grandkid, right? That they're racing, right? She's 14, right? And then we're like, okay, this is so wonderful, right? Like I am so happy for you and for your family that you guys are doing this. And they were enjoying the coffee and the food that coffee shop is giving them, right? So now, as we continue to talk, I'm sharing some experiences in Venezuela, things that happen, you know, with the government and whatever. And like when we moved here and like all the evolution that we've done from college to, you know, soccer players to starting a business to all these crazy things, right? And as we continue the story, she's like, man, I wish my 14-year-old or her friends, right, can see that, because sometimes, you know, it is hard for people to see that, right? And I go back to my, you know, 15-year-old self or 16-year-old self, and, you know, we sometimes are stubborn, right? Or even when we're starting a business, right, we get this incredible advice from people like you, for example, right? Or our coaches, right? And we somehow ignore that, knowing that they've been through that path and be like, okay, man, like if I execute on this thing that they're telling us, like we're going to be that. And the example that you share with like, okay, if, you know, maybe I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of like, if we sell so much, like how are we going to fulfill, like, and all these questions come through. So when somebody's in that position, right, and maybe they don't have access to a coach that can guide them through this, like, is there something that we can do to be like, okay, I identify this moment, right? How do I shift, right? I would need to want it so bad, right? For me, or for us, right? We both, for soccer, we wanted it so bad until one point, right? Where we made the decision to pivot, right? For the business, same thing. We want it so bad because our why is so big, right? So is that the only way that people can push through these things? Or is that, do they actually have to go through these crazy experiences to be like, man, okay, that hit me in my face, I had to kind of move on, right? It's happened to us a few times in the business, right?
Great question. I think that's why I say in the beginning, it's like we all have the ability to tap into the collective wisdom of other people's stories to shorten our own curve to learning. You know, I will tell you, I have had more people in my life that I have learned from than I can even count. And so, yes, I've got this unique story. We've had all these different things, but at the same time, like, my wisdom is just my wisdom, and it's only relevant as it relates to how I see the world. And so I think seeking perspective is huge. I'm going to say that for anybody, like, what the key is to really starting to move forward in life, and it's rooted in a couple of very basic things. Now, these are emotional triggers. We're talking about embracing pain. We're talking about these highly complex topics that it's just because we're such a dynamic being, like, truthfully, right? And so these concepts are very simple, but they're not easy. But I think if we overly boil it down to just like one basic thing, it's to raise our level of awareness in everything we touch. Right. And so if we just really want to simplify things where people are like, oh, I don't know where to go, or I've got 10 different pieces of advice coming at me. Awareness. Our minds process 11 million bits of information per second, but we're only consciously aware of about 40.
Wow.
Think about that. 11 million per second. We're only consciously aware of about 40. So we're largely led by the unconscious.
Yeah.
And so for people who feel like victims, who feel like life is fate, like they have no influence or control over their destinies, this is a large reason why, because they're truly blind to what's happening around them just because of the way that we're wired. And so if we go in, and until we go through a systematic process of moving the unconscious to the conscious, the unaware to the aware, it's going to feel like we're victims. It's going to feel like life is fate. It's going to feel like we have no influence or control over our destinies. And oh, by the way, we can't be intentional with what we're unaware of. So how do we raise our level of awareness? We can pause and ask ourselves more questions. We can pause to really recognize what's happening in this environment at this time and challenge ourselves to see it not through an emotional trigger filter or lens, but to see it for what it actually is, which is very difficult. And then seeking perspective, because outside levels of awareness help us see ourselves and the world more clearly.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing I'm going to say about advice and alternative perspectives. Always take those with a filter.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm not a fan of 7-step systems, right? That's why everything we talk about is going to be abstract, esoteric, and more philosophy. We'll give people frameworks for questions to ask themselves, but I'm never going to say, Luis, this is what's going to work for you, right? We'll brainstorm on concepts and ideas, but what works for me might not work for you. What worked for 10 other people might not work for you. And so at the end of the day, what we do in everything that we focus on is focus everything on you, the who that's in front of us, right? I'm a big believer in a couple of basic concepts, and this is going to be an extension of the piece on advice as well.
Yeah.
So many things in our world are conditioned based on the what and the what's that the world tells us to chase and believe, right? Literally, what belief systems, what religion, like we all are taught to chase what house, what car, what amount of money, what amount of success, what amount of freedom. Like truly, we chase what's. I did it myself, right? And then I woke up one day and I'm running in circles with people making multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures in some cases, realizing that I'd lost who I was, and so many of myself and all of us around it were miserable and stuck.
Yeah.
When I went through the systematic process of shedding the layers of the what's and realigning with who I was, all the what's in my world became a manifestation of who I am, not the other way around. And so for individuals who are understanding how do I move forward from a position of awareness, that's why we're so adamant on understanding who you are, who you're doing this for, and who you're trying to impact. Because when you understand the who, everything else in the world just becomes noise. And again, you get to move faster with less effort because you know exactly who you are, exactly who you're serving, exactly who you're doing this for. And it doesn't really matter what 10 other people's opinions say at that point because you're clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of information right now to process. My mind, just so you know, Brian, is like making connections between all these things you've shared and stories that I have. But I want to pinpoint something right now, which is the principles and foundations. And I love this so much because I used to be one of those that were like, give me the secrets right now, right? I was victim number one of instant gratification. What is the PDF that I'm gonna download that is gonna make?
Dude, me too. I mean, this is what
right?
Yeah.
and it took a mind shift to understand that it's like under everything, right? Under any topic in human history, there are some underlying principles. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the goal is to understand those underlying principles and then act upon those, right? So that creates a lens per se, which you're talking about, which now when you receive advice, right, and perspective, it's like, okay, watch it with a different lens, right? And we have a very clear story on that, which is we were at one of the masterminds and our coach was talking about the attractive character, right? Mm. And my brother and I, we raised our hands and we told him like, well, there's 2 of us. Who should be the attractive character? Or should we just pick one? Can it be the 2 of us? And based on his experience, on what he knows, what he right throughout his life, throughout his business, he said, you got to pick one. Well, guess what? We're like, well, we both enjoy doing the show, the 2 of us. Let's give it a try, right? Yeah. And we realized that the one attractive character is a tactic, right? The 2 of us attractive characters is the underlying principle of you got to be relatable, right? And guess what? the two of us, we can make it relatable in very different ways because he has experiences, I have different experiences, and we can make it that way, right? So
Yeah.
I love that. Principles and foundations. The other thing that I want to, kind of like pinpoint is inner locus of control, right? Which this has it all over it, which is obviously own the pain, right? Just take responsibility of your own life. And yesterday, I was actually on a phone call with my mom while I was doing groceries at Trader Joe's, right? I was kind of freezing there. I don't know why they keep it so freaking cold in there. But I'm talking to my mom, and we're throughout. So we're kind of like having a little bit pain in the business right now in certain areas. And I'm talking to my mom, and also me personally, I'm having some pain in like my relationship side of things, right? And I think it's been like trickled down between both. So I'm talking to my mom, and I tell her, Mom, you know what is the annoying thing about inner locus of control? I told her, I'm like, and I'm grateful for this, but it's so annoying, and I told her, and this is something that I feel like I've learned throughout my entrepreneurial journey. Is something that I've gained, right? And I absolutely love it. But right now, at this point, I'm so pissed about it because as much as I wish to pinpoint fingers and say, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, I can only look inside and say, what am I doing to be in this situation where I'm right now? And what do I need to do to be where I want to be in the future, right?
That's
kind of
exactly
like that honest self-assessment. So that is the pain, right? The pain is...
It is.
Yeah, having to
It's almost always. Everything begins and ends with you.
Yeah.
Right. And literally when people are having pains in their life externally, the first place we challenge is inside. Right. Yep. What was your role in this? How did you see it? What was your worldview on this? How did you show up in that environment? Because again, there's this idea of perspective. Again, we're conditioned to be fight or flight. Right. Mm-hmm. I believe the human experience is rooted in 4 basic things. Right. We all desire to feel safe. We all desire to feel protected. And those are not the same things. We all desire to feel seen and understood. And we all desire to feel connected. Right? Yep. Think about it. The first 3 are highly emotional. Feeling safe, feeling protected, feeling seen and understood are highly emotional. Mm-hmm. Right? I used to believe human connection can be done from a strategic and tactical standpoint, but human connection without emotion is not really human connection. Okay? And so what we have to understand is if we recognize all these things, I often look at, okay, if I'm in a scenario where I don't feel safe or protected, am I going to perform at my best? No. Am I ever going to get the opportunity to connect with somebody? Probably not. Yeah. Right. And so often when we're building businesses, we're looking at relationships, we fail to neglect the fact that if we are reacting, there's probably a trigger that's rooted in that's causing us to create damage in that moment that doesn't even need to be there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we need to understand, am I feeling safe, protected, seen, understood, and connected? What about the other person? Have I created an environment in the way that I approach them that they might actually be able to receive the words that I'm coming at objectively and non-judgmentally and through a lens of neutrality versus a lens that's charged based on a trigger? So we do a lot of work on triggers because I genuinely believe that this is the key. This is like literally the tip of the spear to building better cultures, better businesses, better leadership, better relationships, better health, better everything. It's to truly understand our triggers. Triggers are those things that cause us to react that we aren't even aware of, right? So when we load the dishwasher incorrectly and our wife or spouse looks at us and implies that we did it incorrectly, very likely our trigger in that moment has nothing to do with them or that scenario. It has everything to do with how our grandma looked at us when we were 7. Yeah. But we've never actually paid attention to it because we're unconscious to it. So when we recognize that emotional triggers are really the key, right? It's those moments where you're in a business meeting and I talk too fast or I'm loud and people shush me. And all of a sudden my shame causes me to shrink down in myself. I bite my tongue. I'm not operating at my best. Yeah. Right. So when you look at your relationship, you look at your business, and you look at those things, you're right. The internal locus of control is really where it's at. Everything begins and ends with you. And when you want true accountability and true freedom in your life, it's when you surrender to the fact that that is absolute truth universally. Yeah. And then how do I show up so that I can not create damage, right? Because emotional triggers are designed to be pulled. All triggers are designed to be pulled. So you can either allow your emotional triggers to pull you and cause you to react and create damage, or you can pull the trigger on your emotional triggers and choose to respond and repair moving forward, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always going to choose. All the concepts we talk about are rooted in choice. How do we show up? How do we get more influence and control in our destinies? How do we get more ownership? It's about recognizing that no matter what, never fails, always in every single scenario, we have a minimum of 2 choices. They both might be shitty choices, but we can own those choices, right? So if somebody's holding us up at gunpoint, right, asking us for our phone and our wallets, or they're going to kill us, both horrible choices, But guess what? I'm handing over that phone and that wallet, right? Because that's the choice I can make right now that's going to create the least amount of damage in my world. And I can make this. It's all about choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Whew. Man, this has been absolutely amazing. When you mentioned about the triggers, I started, kind of like having flashbacks of those things, like kind of like trigger me. And I'm like, oh, I need to look back at those. Yeah. Make a list and, make some.
Between identifying triggers and closing open cycles, we got some homework, man.
We got a lot of homework to do.
Now, Brand, as we wrap up, man, we wish, like, by the way, open doors to second time, third time, whatever. Like, Content is Profit is always, out there for you. What's an action point? What's something that people, beginning in their entrepreneurial journey, right? They're starting their business. It might be not their full-time. It might not be their full-time thing, but they're publishing, right? They're putting their voice out there, their thoughts. That's something very intimidating. For people that are starting out, right? What's something that they can do today that's going to help them move forward and create that momentum?
Yeah, so I could go ethereal on a bunch of different things, but I think given the fact that we're here as Content is Profit, we're just going to lean into one thing. Turn the camera on and start talking. Like, that's what you can do today, right? I worked with a client literally that was an author, identified as an author for years, but she never wrote unless she was going to produce a final product. Think about that. She never wrote unless she knew that she could have a final product. She didn't look at the revisions and the reps as a part of her process to grow and develop. And so it created this fear and this belief that unless she could write something that was going to be approved and written down and actually captured, then she wouldn't even attempt. How many people do the same thing with the camera? How many do the same thing with content, whether it's written, whether it's video, I don't care what medium it is that you're consuming content on. If you have thoughts, you have ideas, you have a way to communicate it. Turn the camera on and start talking. Go back and watch my videos from 7 years ago. They suck. Right? And actually they don't suck. They're good, but they weren't me, right? I fabricated energy, but the words were still good. The content was still good, and it created this. So it's something you can do today. Turn the camera on and start talking, and recognize that it's in the reps and the revisions that we're going to continue to improve. And that'll also help you hone your authentic voice, because it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say. The reason mine weren't great in the beginning is because I tried to model what I thought I needed to do to exist in this space with content. And now I don't have to do that. You guys will see me in any single platform. I show up consistent wherever I am. This is how I am with my family. This is how I am with my team. This is how I am when we're doing stuff. This is the same way I am when I'm here. I leaned into the fact that although people told me for years my energy was too big, my passion was too big, fuck that. I'm here, and this is exactly who I am. And this is what's going to fuel the momentum to get to 1 billion. But we can't do it alone. We can only do it collectively. So turn your cameras on and start talking. We need more people creating impact.
Gong moment.
Moment.
Golden Boulder time.
Standing ovation. All at once.
Thank you. Thank
you, Brand.
For you listening again, it's not coming from us either, though every single time we tell you to go ahead and publish. So thank you, Brand, for putting that extra little rock in there. Massive rock. Where would you be if you didn't publish? Right? You said that you've been publishing for 7 years, right? Or more, probably, right? Like putting in the reps. You're in every platform. You're guesting in shows. You're showing up, right? Where would you be if you did not publish?
Nowhere where I am right now. That's a fact. Where would I be? I'd probably be miserable and stuck because I didn't realize there was another way to live. Right? I probably would have been chasing what I had in my prior business, which was all about the what, right? And I had it all. And it was, July of 2019 that we decided, after 4.5, 5 years of running both businesses side by side, that it was time to take this leap. But had I not started doing that for 4 to 5 years on the side, truly as a passion project, never with any intent of leaving, it wouldn't have given me the vehicle to go build and amplify this impact that we're so passionate about today. So I would probably be focusing on myself and being self-serving and doing my philanthropic work in my own community, but not actually extending my skill sets to have true impact on the planet. So I had to embrace the pain of walking away from a known thing and creating content regularly and consistently to avoid the suffering of not ever knowing what I was capable of. That's what it comes down to.
Powerful.
Wow.
Powerful.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, man. I really appreciate it. Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Where can people learn more about what you guys are doing?
Yep. So if you're consuming on social, @BogartBrian on all platforms will get you to us. Our website, brianbogart.com, is also a good place, and it's a landing page for a lot of our stuff. You've heard us talk about the billion life impact. What we know very clearly is that 99.99999999999% will never pay us $1, and we're very okay with that. We know that those that will choose to lean in and invest in themselves will substantiate and perpetuate all the resources we need to create that impact. So here's my one request. Okay. We create so much content that is there truly to elevate and empower people. You will notice we don't have calls to actions. We don't have funnels at the end of 99% of our stuff. And it's there truly because we want to create impact. So I ask if something resonates with you, if it moves you, I just ask that you like, comment, and share. I don't even care if you do it on the social platforms. If you just show somebody by turning your phone, I don't care. But if it moves you, I'm asking you to share it. This isn't for vanity metrics. This is for impact, because the only way we get to 1 billion is collectively and with you. And what I know is that moved people move people. So I'm just asking you to help me move more people.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. We're going to do our part 2. So if you're listening to this episode, same thing, go there, consume a little bit, take action, right? And share it with everybody. Like let's pay it forward. Brian, anything else you want to add before we head out?
You guys opened up the door for future conversations, and I've had so much fun today. I think we just need to do that. And so let's make that happen. And I'm going to say, I'm leaving the door open to our future conversations. And I'm going to ask everybody else to consume this, learn and grow, and continue to show up, because we will drop a session too. And we'll take it to the next level on that one.
Absolutely. I'm just going to throw this out there. We might have to do this second session live, because maybe in person. Maybe not. In person, right, exactly, in person. Because maybe or maybe not, we're gonna be in the same place around the end of October. Maybe or maybe not. We'll see.
We haven't really announced it. Yeah, it's coming. That'll be fun. That'll be
a lot of fun.
I think I know what you're talking about, where you're talking about, and I'm all in. Let's go. Because if we do it in person, that'll be fun. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to bring the whole equipment over there. Let's do it. I'm so excited.
It's so good. It's so good. This is part of us now.
Yeah.
It has been an incredible pleasure. Fonzie, anything else you want to add before we head out? No?
I'm just extremely thankful, Brian. Really appreciate all your wisdom sharing with everybody. And I truly hope that they, consume it, digest it, and most importantly, they take action, which is the most important part of all. So once again, thank you.
With that said,
thank you guys for building the platform for me to pour good into the world, and I'll be back.
Let's go. All right, with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Content is Profit. Go ahead and follow us on social media at BIZBROS Go.
That is right. And if Brian here helped you move one step closer to your goal, please don't forget to share this. And of course, leave a 5-star review.
Let's go.
See you, everyone.